And I think we are live. Looks good to me. If you can hear me out there, can you just give me a thumbs up in the chat just to see if you can hear me and see me? That would be fantastic. But I think we are live. Just waiting for YouTube to catch up before we actually start yabbering.
The Jeopardy music is what you need here for the next episode.
Here we go. We're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's... Oh, let's mute me. Welcome to this week's WordPress speed build, where players have... I'm going to mute myself. Where players have 30 minutes to build a website of my choice using the builder of their choice. And you can ask as many questions as you like as they play. So it's high pressure. Today we've got Rich Tabor and Jonathan Jernigan, two of my favorite WordPress people in the world. And before we start, can I just ask you guys to give a quick intro of who you are, what you do, and why you're here? Rich, let's start with you.
Hey everyone, I'm Rich Tabor. I'm a product manager at Automatic and a core contributor to WordPress. I help on the product front, driving mostly the editor forward, trying to unblock teams that are working on it, and make sure that we're building the most simple and intuitive WordPress editing experience possible. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm excited to be here today to just work on something. I have no idea what yet. Just work on it and maybe learn something from it. Thank
you. Jonathan, over to you.
My name is Jonathan Jernigan. What am I these days? I'm not really entirely sure, quite honestly. I have a YouTube channel, make WordPress content, use GeneratePress and Generate Blocks as my preferred building tools inside of WordPress these days, for whether it be client projects or my own stuff. Created a couple of courses, have a plugin called PyCalendar, lots of different things in the WordPress space. So super happy to be here. I'm actually not that far from Rich. I'm in the panhandle of Florida, so we're only a couple hours from here. Probably everybody in your neighborhood, Rich, I imagine vacations where I live.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm Jamie. I run this YouTube channel, and we've just passed 40,000 subscribers. So a huge thank you to everyone for subscribing and watching the videos. So thank you for that. And it's great to see you all here. If you have a question, if anyone has a question throughout, please, if you can just, for either Rich or Jonathan or me, but don't ask me any questions, then do #Q, and I'll ask them the questions as they build. I'm going to show you the site I've chosen for them tonight in a second, but I am going to ask questions as they go along. So feel free to ask as many questions as you like. So I'm going to show them the site. We're going to have 5 minutes talking about how they might approach it. They haven't got long. And then they're going to build it. And we're also going to have a wash up afterwards. So they're going to take you into the back end and talk about some of the decisions they made, some of the mistakes they made, and how they might have done it differently. The other thing to say is this is not a purist way to build WordPress websites. This is 30 minutes of seeing what you can do off the cuff. And so we'll see how we go. And the other thing to say is there was one more important thing I was going to say, which I can't remember. Anyway, do you want to see the site, guys?
Yeah, let's see it.
Here we go.
I'm literally shaking.
Yeah, this week it's pretty, what's it going to be? Here we go.
Your production value is ramping up every episode.
You wait. Oh, the other thing to say is this is happening in WordCamp Europe next Friday night in Turin. Here we go. I'll share my screen.
Wow. I'm shaking even harder now.
The anticipation here.
Here it comes. There's the site.
Oh, okay.
So what we've got here tonight is a landing page. I thought it'd be fun to try and do a landing page. So we've actually got a ConvertKit landing page, and you can all see that, hopefully, guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some fairly straightforward stuff. I'm really interested to see how you're both going to approach it. We'll talk about your stacks in a minute that you're going to use. So I'll just scroll down so you can see this. So we've got this top section here. There's no menu because it's a landing page. No header. We've got this section here, which is quite interesting. I'm quite interested to see how you both approach that. This section here. And I'm going to ask you to try and do the whole thing because I don't think it's very... Well, let's see how far you get. we've got this, which is quite interesting, this kind of weird non-straight line, which is quite challenging. I'd like to see how you do that. These boxes, kind of card layout. And then these sections down here. Now I've uploaded the assets for you. All the images are in your media library. And then down here. And then the final thing is we've got this FAQ section down here. Okay. Now there's another bit here which I don't want you to try and do. So this show all features actually does a snazzy thing, but don't do that. So I don't want to see that today. Okay. Unless you have extra time. I think you've got enough on your hands to try and do that thing. So first impressions, chaps. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get it.
Not bad.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
I say that now, but this is like when the designer sends you a Figma file and you're like, yes, this is easy. And then you get in there and you're like, oh my God, I want to shoot myself.
Yeah. So let's just talk quickly. I should say as well that you guys have had a bit of, you haven't seen what's in your media library, but you have had a bit of time to install your stacks. So you don't have to do that. So let's just talk about how you're going to approach that. So Rich, what you're going to be using and why?
Yeah, I'm just using the Gutenberg plugin. It's the latest version, 18.5. It's the last release that's going to go into WordPress 6.6 in next month or so. And we're using that because I've been working on it quite a bit the last couple of months. So I know like the nuances, extra little bits and pieces that I wouldn't want to lose going into this.
Yeah.
And then I'm also using a theme called Assembler. It's right now available on Automatic's themes on GitHub. And it's just a base theme. It's pretty simple, streamlined, so that I can really kind of express whatever we need to in whatever direction without any other bits and pieces in the way.
Does it come with any kind of block patterns that you're going to use, or are you going to get those from somewhere else?
Yeah, the theme doesn't have very many patterns in it itself right now, but there are a lot of patterns on WordPress.com. It's a new pattern library launched a month or two ago. So if I see anything that might fit what I'm looking for, I might grab one of those or two.
Great stuff, Jonathan. I'm curious to know how you're going to do this in. I won't ruin it. What stack are you going to use?
So Generate Press as my theme, and that's going to handle things like typography, colors, kind of the basic fundamentals of the site. And then Generate Blocks will be what I'll use for the actual content on the page. And then, things like grids and layouts and stuff you can pull from their new minimalist design library. And of course, I haven't prepared any patterns, so I won't be pulling any that are pre-existing. But it looks like a pretty straightforward design. It seems well within the capabilities of these tools, and mine and Rich's approaches are going to be vastly different, I think, which will be interesting.
Yeah, that's why I chose it. I thought it would be interesting to see a sort of classic theme approach to a block theme approach. So are you ready to get started, team?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Right.
Where's the link to the page?
Sorry. Yeah. Let me.
You have to do it from memory. That's the second part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen, which has got the link in it. Let me just put this up. So can you see that? I don't know if you want to take a note of that. And for those at home, if you want to have a go at this yourselves, then I will put a link after this live stream to the InstaWP template that I've set up with all the assets pre-installed. So you can have a go yourselves, and do share what you do if you have a go, because people are doing that and it's really cool to see what you're achieving. You guys got it?
Yeah.
Jonathan, got it?
I sure do.
Rock and roll. Right.
Start.
Count you down. 3, 2, 1. Let's build.
All right.
Off we go. So I should say as well, for those watching, we've asked Jonathan to use a horrible yellow color for his browser. That's Jonathan's there. So Jonathan's got a yellow browser. Rich has got a normal browser. If you have any questions about the different approaches, put them in the comments and I will do my best to pass them on. Very quiet out there. So Jonathan, what I'm curious about is how you do things like get rid of the header in a classic theme like Generate. It's
funny because I so rarely do that that I think I know how to, but
Okay.
there's a function in Generate Press Elements which allows you to like disable whole portions of the site. And I think it should be pretty much one click, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So for those that we're currently watching Jonathan doing some
in a different tab is what I am. I was just inspecting some of the colors and stuff.
Okay, we can't see that.
All right. So
we're getting some advice already. Is that allowed? Kyle is coming with layouts element exclamation mark. I think that's that's advice, but chiding advice.
Yeah, so if you're still watching me, there's Generate Press Element. I can go to disable and then site header just to get rid of it entirely.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'll just make it go to the whole site. So we should, yeah, it's just gone now. Perfect.
Cool.
That's exactly what I want.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyle.
To be fair, I wasn't listening to Kyle. I never do. Just kidding.
Right, let's flick to have a look at Rich, see what he's up to. And so I've missed the start of yours, Rich. So you're just building in the blog home template?
Yeah, it's a one-page site, so I thought it would be simple just to start here. And what I'm doing now is just adding the appropriate colors to my palette. This theme has a bunch of different palettes available, but I just wanted to start fresh with the blank one, basically. So I'm scrubbing those colors. I put a spacer block in here, over here. I think I need to add a little space above it as well. I like using spacer blocks sparingly, but in areas like this, it's nice because then you can actually just resize it. Like when you're handing this off, it's easy to resize versus using a padding control. It's a little bit more difficult. All right.
Padding top of 10 rem. Interesting.
Yeah, Mike, this is all design. I thought it'd be really interesting to see the difference between a classic theme and a block theme approach on this one. So we've got a question from Evan who says, I use bricks, so excuse my ignorance, but what is the benefit of having a site header load as default on every page in the builder? I'm not sure I quite understand the question. Does anyone want to answer that one?
Have the site editor load? Is that?
The site header load on default is every page in the builder. Oh, in the builder.
Oh, so when you're building pages, you actually see the context in which you're building it. So you'll see the actual header, the actual footer when you're building a page.
Yeah.
I don't know if the footer is actually blue. Looks like the text.
Great to see you, Max. Loving this episode. So yeah, we got a question about themes here. So Greg says, what theme was Rich using again? It's called this. Do you say it's the assembler theme?
Yeah, assembler. It's I think github.com/automatic/themes. And it's in there.
Right, let's flick back to Jonathan's screen. You're inspecting. What are you inspecting?
Just trying to look at how they're doing spacing and stuff.
Okay.
What gap is 2? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Easy.
Right, Carl's coming with a good question. I'm excited to see who actually uses an ordered list, or an ordered list and a list item for the checkmark list in the newsletter plan section. That's going to happen soon. Right, so you've had about 5 minutes, guys.
All right.
Okay. I think you're going.
That's not helpful.
Is that not helpful?
No, I'm just kidding.
Let's see.
Actually, I am going to swap that for generate blocks headline. That appears to be centered. Max width of 540.
All right.
So, Jonathan, we're with you at the moment. What's going on here? You're using why are you using the generate headline heading block?
Because it's got a bunch of other controls like max width, margin, some other spacing controls.
Yeah.
Looks like I need to.
Actually, I'm going to do this.
Let's see.
Okay, let's go to.
I'm gonna have to do flex to get the gap controls. Am I just blind? No.
That's, this is really interesting. Right, let's have a look at Rich's screen.
Yeah, so I'm
So
setting
Rich-
up these. This is a new feature coming in 6.6 where you can have block style variations that extend across multiple blocks in style nested blocks. So I'm going in here and setting up the light variant here. So
just say that again, because this is new, right? Let's have a look at this.
yeah, so like essentially if you go to, you can set these variations here, the block style variations that apply to any blocks within the one block. So not just on this one specific group.
Yeah.
So what I did is I went to global styles, blocks, and I've assigned it to the group block, or the theme has it assigned to the group block. So in light, you can come in here and change whatever this is, and across your entire site, that this will update to match this anywhere. It's kind of nice so that you don't have to hard code this color in here, and it could be whatever you need to be, and then you can change it later. So I just did that to make sure it's a little bit more flexible after the fact.
This image feels too big. That's because it is.
So T. Drayson, I don't know your first name. Sorry. Good question. If the contestants wanted, could they bring a custom chart theme with CSS variables and a bunch of stuff pre-configured? That's a good question. I think so. I think I'll be all right with that. Let's see why not. Devin's saying we need some jazz.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that. Devin. Oh, hold on.
There we go.
You get out my guitar. Well, I think we'll stick with the jazz.
This opacity.
Get yourself a beer. Last one. There we go, Devin. Good idea. But there will be people complaining vehemently about music in a video.
Oh, absolutely.
That will hate that. In fact. Right, you've had 9 minutes, and I think it's going well. Are you happy?
Yeah, perfect.
Reasonably. Come on, get me out of there.
Let's switch to Jernigan and his yellow browser.
Got a little bit of something going on. All right, so set this background to. I forgot to set a white variable color. I'm clearly inexperienced builder here.
Yeah, Devin's saying Tadlock, which is just in Tadlock. I like the formality of using the surname. Let's keep that going. Tadlock brought his own customized starter theme the other day. Yeah, I think we're going to allow that because you don't know what kind of site it's going to be, so that might be helpful or not. It's kind of Batman-y, actually, this music. Maybe we need some kapows. There we go. Right, we're still with Jernigan, and I'm hoping you're moving on to the kind of card layout, right? Looks
Indeed.
like it. So what's the plan with this? Talk me through the strategy.
Press the right buttons until stuff appears is my plan here.
Cool. Okay. That's
But
good.
just using a grid, basic grid class to create these elements here.
Okay.
So I have 3 containers that'll act as my grid.
Yep.
I'm just building out those different elements now. So I can go $0 a month and just use a little highlight.
And what's the advantage of doing that over just using columns?
Habit, probably.
Okay.
Quite honestly. There's definitely a degree of, comfortability, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
Just what's familiar. Can I take my span and give it a font size? It applies to the whole thing. Dang. I guess I could do a separate span.
Right, you've got 19 minutes left.
Right.
Let's go back to Rich, see how he's getting on. So this is Rich Table's screen we're looking at right now. Oh, right, you're on the card. I didn't see how you did this. So can you just wind me back? So you've got a group block with a columns block inside it?
Yeah, that's right. I don't need this one. Columns block, and I've styled the columns block with the background color, some padding, border, radius. And I mean, I'll probably fine tune a little bit towards the end, but now I'm going to try to figure out these list items.
And what's the reason for putting the columns block in a group block?
Just so I can keep the group block full width across the whole page here. And that way, like, again, I like to think towards like future changes. So future changes, you could apply like any styling to this and it would apply like across the entire page, like whatever it is. So if you ever wanted to change something, you don't have to like reconfigure this section. So I usually make all of mine full width at the top level, like all of these here.
Okay, cool. Because when I had a go at that today, I just stuck it in a columns block and it kind of worked. But obviously your plan is better than mine.
I don't know about putting images in these list items. I don't love that.
If you guys are working on anything particularly interesting, shout at me and I'll share your screen. Jonathan, are you on the? Let's have a look at your screen. Are you on the? Yeah, you're both on the card layout. So you're kind of in parity actually, where you both are at the moment. It's probably time for a bit more jazz, right? Let's go.
Here's the part where Kyle yells at me.
So Brendan's got a question. I missed how Rich got those dark light toggles on the group block. Yeah, were they pre-configured?
So the theme, and I think most themes after this release, I would say, will include these block style variations. So inside of the theme.json file, or even with the regular register block style variation functions, you can add light and dark or whatever these are, and you can actually assign colors now, and those will style all the blocks within it. So this will style all the blocks like within this as well.
So they came with the theme because they were in theme.json already in this.
Exactly, right. And then what I did is I think most things are going to come with at least light or dark. So what I did is I went to my group block here and I configured what light meant. Like you can even change the typography if you want, or the spacing. You can change anything. So essentially a mini theme to style all the content within that one group block. Or right now it's a columns block.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
As Carl says, Rich is taking time to do a tutorial video on block themes of it. Yeah, we like to throw challenges. Thank you for that.
Do we get points for content accuracy?
No. Yeah, so I should have mentioned, no, I don't care about the content. It's all about the look. Again, loads of questions about what you've just shown, Rich. So I'm not going to ask you now, but maybe we'll do it in the wash up because it's 15 minutes to go.
Oh, it seems like forever.
Sorry.
Why is that so broken?
It's all good.
Oh, we have this. This was a good question from Brendan. I'm going to ask you this one. Thanks for that. That is slick. Does it tie the typography to it automatically so it reverses?
Yes. It can style anything. Anything that can be styled with theme.json can be styled within the one container. So typography, colors, the buttons, elements, the captions, even anything.
Which is the stuff you showed me yesterday, right? Which was incredibly cool.
Yeah.
So we should do some more stuff on that because it's really sweet stuff.
Yeah, I try to leverage global styles as much as I can because in that way you're saving yourself so much effort later on. Like even right now, I'm using the headings panel in global styles to set the whatever needs to be for the H5, so that I don't have to manually fix a style into this one block.
Yeah. So I've just put the ticker on the bottom now. So somebody asked about what site it is, but it's a ConvertKit. It's convertkit.com/promotions/early access. It's a landing page, which I found on One Page Love, which is Rob's website, which is cool. And I thought it was good to see the difference between a classic theme and a block theme in this approach. And all the resources for this will be, I've set this up as an InstaWP template. So if you want to have a go at this yourselves, I will put a link to that in the comments after the live stream, so you can have a play with it, and all the assets are up there. And do share what you managed to do. If you want to try and do it in half an hour, share your efforts, because it's fun to see what people can do. Right, you've got 13 minutes to go. I think you're both doing great. Can I have just a quick, let's pause you. I should have asked at 15. Jonathan, can you quickly show us where you're at in terms of just scroll up and down, show us the progress, and talk us through how it's going?
Reasonably well. I'm already finding that I've committed myself to mistakes that are going to be too time consuming to revert, but going reasonably well so far. Got this situation set up. I'm having a hard time understanding why, with my panic and heart palpitations happening, why this section here is so much shorter, because on this one it's so much wider. I don't know where my mistake is. There might be a max width issue that I just need to crank up, but I think it's going reasonably well. I think maybe I have some spacing issues here and there, but overall,
pretty good.
Getting there.
Pretty good. Right, Rich, sorry. We'll do the same for you. Can you just scroll up and down and show us where you're at? That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's doing all right. I'm going to hold off on the check marks here. I think it's...
Yeah.
Those are going to be a little bit tricky to implement, but maybe I can have enough time to come back. Need a little bit of spacing.
Yeah. You're going to add a white background to your newsletter plan? Yeah. Sorry.
Is the clock still running?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry.
I was like,
yeah. I can't technically stop the clock, so it just carries on. It's like time. You can't stop it. So you've got 11 minutes 40 left. Devin's got a good question, which is... Actually, it's not a question, it's a statement. I'm just going to stop this. I wish WP Core had an option to move the page title out of the editor and into the top bar or somewhere else for situations like this.
I think I know a guy.
Yeah. Well, if you're using a full site theme, then you won't have that issue because you just don't add the site title.
Yeah, it's just not there.
It's just not there. Look.
So, Jamie, you asked about interesting things. One thing I'm doing here is I can inspect this.
Go. Yep, go. Sorry.
I can inspect this SVG just in Chrome. This might be a little hacky, but it's something that you can definitely do. Copy the SVG, and then in Generate Blocks, there's like an icon field, and you can just paste in SVG.
Oh, cool.
And that's how I got the icon. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here again with the headline element. This time around, and then there's a button for remove text, so I can get that green check mark. Oh wait, it's icon here, so I can make that green, and then whatever size it was, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how big it was, like 40 pixels. So I can just go to the icon size and say 40 pixels.
Nice. That's cool. That's a cool thing. We've got Brian Cordwood in the house. This is what he said. I missed the first half. Anyone using any fancy tools? Well, we've got Jonathan Jernigan, who's using Generate Press and Generate Blocks. And Generate Blocks Pro or just Generate Blocks?
Pro.
And then we've got Rich Tabor, who's using the Assembler theme. And he's just installed the Gutenberg plugin. And he's fairly close to core. So that's what
you can call that fancy.
Got.
I just did the gradient line. I think I'm okay with that. Let me show you how I did it.
Carlton says, I want to give it a shot. How do I? So you can either apply to come on the show, or if you want to have a go yourself, I will put a link to a one-click website, which I've set up as a template and with all the assets, apart from the SVG icons. So you can have a go yourself. So I'll put that link in the comments when we go off. Cords has come back with some advice. If you don't want to see the page title, you can turn on template preview and edit your page in the actual template it will be using. Great tip, thank you. Right, how are we doing for time? You've got 8 minutes 58 to go.
Ooh.
Okay, I would like a little bit more music. I'm enjoying the music. If you want, if you hate the music, let me know in the comments. I think the music adds.
I have a look of such disgust on my face because of something I'm doing, not the music.
Okay, thank you. Let's go back. Right, so and just to repeat myself, Rich Tabor is using the non-yellow browser, and he's got a little picture of himself actually as a site icon, which is helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas Jonathan Jernigan is using the yellow Chrome browser, which he wasn't happy about, but we persuaded him it was for the better of the live stream. 8 minutes 14 to go.
No! I made a mistake. What did I do?
And this is, if you're going to be in Turin next week, I mean, come and say hello. I'm going to be there, so do come say hello. But also on the Friday evening at 5 o'clock in room 3, I think it is, we have a competition between Jessica, who's just come on. Hi, Jessica. And Rich is coming back again with some more punishment. Live on stage. It's going to be loads of fun and high pressure. Brian Cord says, what theme is Rich using? He's using a theme called the Assembler theme, which is an automatic theme. It's like is it like a starter theme, but a bit more than the starter theme, Rich?
Yeah, basically, it's just like a very doesn't come with a lot of fluff, but the stuff it does come with, it really is intentional.
Okay. Jessica's been here since the beginning, watching silently. I mean, in some ways, Rich has a bit of an advantage because he's come on a week before to practice.
Yeah, a little warm up.
A little warm up. I still haven't chosen the site for next week as well, so if anyone's got any ideas, it won't be Link's Cars.
I would have been extremely upset.
Yeah. One day it will be. We're also thinking of maybe doing a few episodes where the players don't get to choose the builder and I get to choose it. I think it'd be loads of fun. If you want to sign up for that, let me know. So you might come on and I'll just, you're using Wix or you're using Canva or Bricks or something not of your choice. I think that'll be loads of fun. That's a great idea. The WCE website. Yeah, that is a good idea. That's a great idea. I shouldn't have put that up on the screen. Right, you've got 6 minutes to go. And we're currently looking at Rich Tabor's screen. We got a good question from Mike Ritter. Why is Rich using spacers, not padding and margins?
I'm using them in certain areas. Like here, I want to use the same amount of space on either side, so it's fine to use padding. I'm using spacers in other areas, like in between key elements like this. I'm still using these presets here, but I'm doing that so that, like the end user, I'm thinking about, again, someone else using this site, if they want to change something, it's much easier to change it here than trying to find that one padding control.
It really is. Yeah.
This one I probably don't need.
Spacers get a lot of bad press, but actually for end users, they're very easy in trying to hunt around and find margin. Carolina, I think Rich should get a time penalty during the competition at WCEU since he has done it before.
Time penalty. All right.
Jessica, you're welcome to come on and do a practice one if you want to. Right, you've got 4 minutes 43 left, so you want to be thinking about. I don't know what you want to be thinking about. We're watching you, Jonathan, and
I'm skipping some minor things to try to get down to the second section here.
Yeah. I will give you a 1 minute warning as well.
All right.
I agree with Kyle that their semantic HTML here is pretty all over the place.
Yeah, it's disappointing. What can I say? Carl says, Jamie, you should just have them do client projects for
You be
Not
our
a terrible
client
idea.
feedback. Hey, I know that this is accessible and perfectly semantic, but can you please ruin that for me?
Oh, that's a great idea. Derek says, I haven't actually read this. Jamie Marston, you should have a speed build challenge for single post template, something with some sidebar content. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ideas which I think would be great, and that's one of them. I'd love to do it like a WooCommerce one day as well, because there's loads of stuff you can do in WooCommerce in template editing, which is really cool these days. And we might be having a Wix versus WordPress version coming up as well, which might be interesting. All sorts of stuff we can do with this. Right. Oh, I'm rabbiting on. You've got 3 minutes, 12 seconds left. And we're currently watching the yellow browser. So that's Jonathan Jernigan's browser.
I was going to try to build this, but we don't have the person's image here, which is
Sorry about that. Yeah.
no big deal.
That's my fault. Bad prep.
Derek says, it clicks to her
45 minutes.
Twitter. I don't want to see that.
Good idea.
Oh, I copied and pasted and it brought in her image.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Nice.
There we
2
go.
minutes 41 to go. And I'm going to be really strict on the time.
A happy accident.
Love those. Oh, that's a great idea, Devin. Shopify versus WooCommerce. That's a cool idea.
Oh, I got to use that.
Really good idea. If anyone wants to sponsor these episodes as well, I'm actively looking for sponsors. We've got a few lined up, exciting ones lined up. So if you're a product owner, Devin, and you want to do a special, get in touch. Yeah, Carl, I mean, just copy paste to the whole page. I mean, you could have just done a screen grab and lumped the image in. That would have been really funny. But you would have got disqualified very quickly. 1 minute 55 to go. Yeah, Mike's saying, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to try some that we have. Different builders. Definitely want to do different builders. Also, I am still looking on the lookout for some Bricks users. Really want to see some Bricks users. So if you're a big Bricks user, it'd be great if you could come on the show, because that'd be fascinating to see a different approach. 1 minute 25 to go. Let's just flick back to Rich's site. And you're on the FAQ section.
Yeah, but I did skip the Twitter part.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it was a... Yeah, Mark hasn't... I don't think Mark's applied, Derek, but he's, I'm eagerly waiting for people to apply. Mark, if you have applied, then apologies, but I haven't seen it come through. Right, 1 minute to go. Let's see how you go on.
No, I want my box shadow.
48 seconds to go.
It won't work.
No pressure. 42 seconds to go. Currently watching Rich Tabor. 29. Is it helping if I shout out the time?
Yeah.
It's making my heart beat faster.
19. Well, let's flick Jernigan's on the screen. The yellow browser.
Go.
The emotion of it. 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4,
Center you.
3, 2, 1. Stop.
Oh, man.
Thumbs up, please, chaps. Let's see you. Right. Great work. I mean, great work. I think we've done some good stuff. Right. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, boy.
Boy. No, I think it's great. Right, let's start with, who should we start with? So if you could start with the front end, and then we're going to dive into the back end. So if you can publish it or update it and just go and look at it, and then just talk us through it.
I'm getting some error here where it doesn't want to.
It's not going to.
See, how much did I lose here? I copied code editor. Hopefully it'll give me all that back.
Are we getting an extra minute?
Reasonably so. I wanted to just update what I have. I promise I'm not cheating.
That's you, right? That's your live site. Okay. Over to you, sir. Jonathan, talk us through just the front end, and then we'll look at Rich's, and then we'll dive into the back end.
Well, convert get called, and this is what I came up with. So in Generate Press, what I've done is create an element, and elements are the way that you build a lot of functionality through the theme. It can be, in this case, removing the header entirely, so we don't have our logo and nav and that kind of thing. Using elements, you would build your single post template and your archive template and that kind of thing. So they're extremely powerful. Only one on this site, but typically on a real site, I might have 4 or 5 elements that apply to one particular location.
Okay. Can you just scroll down so we can see your work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This section really aggravated me because for whatever reason, I must have made some mistake that I'm overlooking in my furious panic.
Yeah.
But to get this, it should be wider than the image from our representation here. And for some reason, it's scrunched to like 800 pixels wide. So I ran out of time to figure that out. But this is just using a basic CSS grid, just a 3-wide grid here.
Yeah.
Which actually turned out to be useful in this section down here, as well as the little team member section too.
So sorry for the stupid question, but in Generate, there's no like grid component. You add a container and then you add the grid to that container.
There actually is a grid block. Yeah. So it's essentially like a column block. But for me, now that you can add, a straight CSS grid via like a CSS class, that's how I kind of prefer to do things these days.
Cool. And then you've got your little icon people.
Yeah, so that was a happy accident. I just copied and pasted the headline and it pulled in the image as well. And then this is just using a little container and a flex layout here so that the image is on the left and the text in their Twitter tag is on the bottom. There's supposed to be an icon here as well, but of course I was panicking and ran out of time for that.
Cool.
This button I did manage to do a little hover effect on because it's got that.
Okay, and how do you do that?
There's a hover pseudo state built into Generate blocks for buttons, so you can just click the little hover tab and change the styles accordingly.
Yeah, rock and roll. Right, let's have a look at Rich's then, and then we'll dive into the back end and see actually how you did it. So Rich, this is yours, looking good. Yeah.
All right, so I just have a header here with the logo. It's easy enough. This was just an image on the site, so just put an image there, aligned at center. I built everything, like I said earlier, with full width group blocks on the outside so that, again, when I hand this off, if there ever is a need to change something, it's real easy to move the top level items up or down or change the whole style of one section. Used the list blocks here. This is just the button. Here I used a row block with 2 values to have the different size text. I could have probably done something inline as well, but I just wanted to do it like that, not too quick. This is just an image. Columns block. We have these left and right areas here that are just, again, columns block. I think the columns block right now is the easiest way to get things to stack appropriately on mobile. There's a few enhancements coming with like grid block and core and whatnot, but they're still a little bit, I would say, a little bit finicky for what I would want to do. Whereas columns block here is just so easy to drop into 2 things and align stuff centered. We have the same newsletter thing here, and I was down here trying to establish the borders between the FAQs.
And is that using the details block, that FAQ?
It is, yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Right, brilliant. Well done. Great work, guys. Jonathan, should we look at take us behind the scenes of Generate?
Sure. So basically, I just had an outer container, just a div to wrap the first part of the landing page that had the green background color. Then I just use a simple flex gap to achieve the spacing between the different sections. So each one of the elements, except for the second one, because they used a ton of top padding to spread this second image from the logo. So each one of these things is just kind of wrapped in a container, just a simple image block and a headline. And then again, down here, this is where I applied that grid global style. So I was able to just go in here and there's like a built-in, set of like common grids. So this is how I could easily switch between grid layout.
Yeah.
Same thing is true right here. This one is really the other section that might be somewhat interesting because it's a bunch of divs nested together to create that kind of image on the left. And then an additional container to hold their name and the Twitter tag, then their paragraph. And then this is another case where I try to get fancy in the last 45 seconds and little green SVG of some description. And it did work, but I didn't manage to get it centered. Obviously, I have some issues here, like I needed some spacing below the button here because I applied that gap to the topmost container, so it didn't apply to the last element. Overall, I mean, this is something that I would do with some electronic music blasting here.
Yeah, sorry, did the jazz
Happy.
put you off?
I mean, I would be reasonably happy if I got to this point in 90
Yeah.
minutes, but obviously I would take the time to correct some of these gap issues and stuff like that. So,
and is there anything in the way you would build it that would be different in terms of kind of the technical approach to how you just had to sort of rush it in 30 minutes, or is that generally how you do it?
yeah, I mean, one of the things I would have done would be take more time to go into the Generate Press global styles system in the theme itself, because there was quite a few cases where like I didn't apply all the global colors. I only did the primary green one, so I could reuse that for the button, but I didn't realize that there was that secondary button with a different color. And then the other thing is I didn't add the fonts. So in this space, I would be able to dictate what's the preset, like margin bottom beneath an H2, for example, or set font weights. I was manually setting 600 font weight on a bunch of stuff, which is obviously not ideal. I would have done it from this interface, and it would just default to that. So yeah, I think a little bit more prep work probably would have saved me and made it a lot more clean, and probably saved a couple of minutes here and there. But otherwise, I mean, this would be how I would build on a on a live stream to some degree. I'm sure there's minor deviations when I don't have Mr. Marsland in my ear counting down the time.
Yeah, well, I'll join anytime. Brilliant. Well done. That was great. Right, let's flip to Rich. Take us behind the scenes, behind the curtain.
All right. So I just built this in the site editor. I didn't include any third-party blocks. This is all just base site editor. We're only doing a single page site, landing page. So I just built it on the template that came with the theme and just removed everything and started from scratch here.
Yeah.
So I have a header. I have a
So
main
you
section.
still added a header, even though you didn't need it.
Yeah, I didn't need to, but I think it's just habit, I think, and also to be able to, if you do want to create subsequent pages from this, you would still already have that header available, because using the default header template part, I'm always thinking about like the next iteration or the next edit of this site. So I do have a header. I still have a footer down here, the same concept, just the base things that are necessary. Again, I use full width blocks on almost all these top levels. It's just easier to rearrange things, to reorder in the future if we're changing things.
Yeah. So you added a group block and made it full width, and then put like a block inside the group, right?
Yes, and I typically use the wide width as essentially my page width, like what I want to set up items as page wide. And so I have the columns in here.
Sorry, can you just show? Sorry to interrupt. Can you just show people in global styles, because a lot of people coming from like the bricks environment don't understand where the widths are coming from in site editing. Can you just show us the layout? Yeah, the layout stuff.
So there's layout here. There's these values here which come with the theme, which I found suitable. They're pretty standard. I mean, wide might be a little bit wide, but for the quick build, it was fine. This establishes like the left and right padding of the site, and this is the top and bottom. I personally like keeping top and bottom 0 so that the header and the footer have full control over whatever the padding it needs to render properly. And then block spacing is the spacing between all the top level the blocks within the page here.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
I also set global styles here within colors. So my palette, I just picked. I typically arrange the lightest to darkest. It doesn't really matter these days. Like even slug values don't matter so much when you're using global styles and not hard coding styles into patterns. So I picked these colors here, and then from here I'll just choose whichever one. Like if we wanted a white background, we could change that to here.
Yeah.
Same with buttons. That's how I decided to style the buttons. I didn't like. I mean, one of the green color that they're using is not quite appropriate contrast, so I didn't use the light green on here. I'd use the dark green. That was a personal choice.
Okay.
All right. Oh, I also have the gradient that I used to make this like diagonal on this group block.
Okay. Yeah. Can you just show us that? Dive into that.
Yeah, so it's just a group block. I named it gradient. You can rename blocks like this. So I just renamed it gradient so I could see and know what it is from here on the side. But what I did was set a gradient up almost 50-50 and using the background color from the one before and the one after, which is just white. And then you can just set this angle to however you need, like however dramatic. You can resize this, like you can even put like a spacer in here and increase the amount of space that you do want to
That's cool.
do this, like if you want a sharper angle. It's kind of fun.
That is fun.
I did use fonts from the font library here, so I went through here and installed the 2 fonts that we needed, which was Open Sans and Domain, I think it's called. So I did install those. That's how I assigned the font here.
And you did those with, okay, yeah, current. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, just with the core font library here. Just installed and searched for it. Open. And just clicked the ones that I needed. And then they're available to use on the page. So this font wasn't included in the theme, and it's here now. Again, these are just columns, 2 columns, and add a little space between. Same here, 2 columns, just flipped them. Same here. The gradient, I just copied and pasted this gradient from up here, down here. Same with the newsletter that was just implemented, again, down here, the call to action. And again, more columns here.
Cool. Great job.
So I mostly just leaned on global styles as much as I could so that in the future, if you do want to change any of the styles of the site, like they're not hard coded into this page, like they're still global, they're still something that you can manipulate later without having to go and fine tune everything on the page itself. And I think that's really key to like sustainable website design as we're thinking about how long-term we want to do this, or even how repeatable we want to make this sort of landing page.
Cool, thank you. We've got a question. I'm just going to ask you this from Derek. So it's a question for Rich. If you could change one feature to Gutenberg from this experience, it's quite a hard question. What would it be? Was there anything?
Oh, I don't know. It's not that tough. I mean, I think about this every day. You know, the right now layout for me is, or for most folks, I think it's complicated. We have justification controls here. If you're row, now you have different tools here. You have different settings up here. When you're in stack, they also change. Now we have grid. They're also different. I think we can consolidate and really come up with a layout experience that is intuitive. Like it's still something that you can create complex layouts with, but having something to really understand, like if I want to make this go to the right, like right here, like you see one icon, but when you switch here, it's like it starts to change. And I think we need to consolidate and make these simpler. And I think when we do that, the inherent responsiveness of the page designs that we create will be much easier to attain, other than trying to force it with columns block, for example. Cool. So I think it will have a cascading effect on layout.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. That was fantastic. So thank you so much. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. It's fun. Yeah, I've built hardcore time pressure like that. It really adds a level of panic, and you gotta just trim the fat. You gotta really decide what you need to be focusing on right now, which is cool.
Yeah, it was interesting chatting to Ben Rittner, the founder of Cadence, last week. He found it really interesting from a kind of stress testing product point of view, that it's a kind of situation. He made a great point, which is actually, it's not that clearly what we're doing here today isn't the purest way of building websites, but he made a great point. It was actually a lot of people will build websites like this. So it's a really good test of a product to kind of have this time pressure. I think it's really interesting. So well done. I thought you're both amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. So ends today's show. As I repeat myself, next week in Turin, live on stage, Rich Tabor comes back again. Jessica Luschik is going to be up against him. So it's Europe against USA at 5 o'clock next Friday. Jonathan, thank you so much. Rich, thank you so much. You are both amazing. And we will see you all soon. We've got some amazing more people coming up after Europe. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Love you. Good night.